I got banned from a Reddit community this week, not for spamming, not for promoting anything, not for being unkind or off topic or aggressive. I was banned because my profile made it clear that I am an expert in the exact thing that the people in that community were asking about. And I want to talk about that today because there are two very different lessons here, depending on whether you're someone building a business online or someone looking for answers in an online forum. So here's the full story, and I'm going to show you the receipts. I joined the Perimenopause subreddit. This is literally my world. I help midlife women navigate the transitions that tend to hit all at once, and perimenopause is a massive part of that conversation. Someone posted a question in that community. It was a real question from someone who was clearly struggling and looking for answers. And I did what I always do. I answered it. Based on knowledge and experience, not on a sales pitch. I didn't include links to my website. I didn't mention my services. I just answered the question. And then I got a notification that I had been banned from the subreddit. So I reached out to the moderator because genuinely I couldn't figure out what I had done wrong. And they said I had violated the subreddit rules. I asked for clarification. And they said that my profile was self-promotional. Let me sit with that for a second because I want to make sure I'm being fair here. My profile on Reddit does clearly show who I am. It shows that I am a reinvention coach who works specifically with midlife women, navigating perimenopause and midlife transitions. It doesn't hide that. It's not trying to trick anyone. It is transparent about my expertise and what I do. So I asked the moderator directly, are you telling me that I am being banned not because of anything I actually said or did in this community, but because of how you've chosen to interpret my profile as self-promotional, rather than as simply showing that I have expertise in this area? And they confirmed it. They banned me from a perimenopause community because they knew I knew what I was talking about. Now, before we go any further, I want to make something very clear. This is not a one-off. This is not one bad moderator on one bad day. This is a well-documented systemic problem with how Reddit works. If you spend 5 minutes searching Reddit for moderator abuse, you will find thread after thread in community after community from users who have been arbitrarily banned, silenced, or removed by moderators with zero recourse. Here's the thing. By Reddit's own rules, moderators can ban anyone from their community for any reason, or no reason, or just because they feel like it. That's not my opinion. That's what Reddit's own support community says. And when users file moderator complaints, the consistent answer from Reddit is, unless there is a very specific, provable code of conduct violation, they will not intervene. You are entirely at the mercy of whoever holds the moderator role. And here's where it gets genuinely interesting. Reddit knows this is a problem. In fact, they recently published an announcement called Evolving Moderation on Reddit, Our Plans for the Year Ahead, acknowledging that they need to overhaul their moderation systems. They know. They just haven't fixed it yet. And until they do, the gap between moderating to protect a community and moderating to control what a community is allowed to know is entirely up to one individual's judgment. There's one more layer in this that I cannot go without mentioning. As I'm sitting here, freshly banned from a community for being too transparent about my expertise, I am simultaneously seeing ads in my Reddit feed, paid ads from businesses promoting their products and services in communities just like that one. Reddit is actively selling ad space to companies who want to reach the exact same people I was trying to help, but because they are willing to pay money to Reddit, their post not only avoids being banned, they're being actively promoted. But the organic expert who shows up identifies herself and answers a question for free because she actually knows something useful, banned. I'm not angry about this. I genuinely think moderation exists for good reasons. Communities need protection from bad actors, from spam, from manipulation. I understand that. But the line between protecting your community and controlling your community's access to information matters. And in this case, those two things are not the same. If you are building a business online, and especially if you're building in a space where your expertise is the product, here is what this week reminded me. You do not own your presence on any platform you didn't build. Not Reddit, not Instagram, not Facebook groups, not even LinkedIn, which can suspend accounts with very little recourse. These platforms can change their rules. Their moderators can interpret those rules however they want. An algorithm update can cut your reach by 70% overnight. A community you've poured yourself into can shut you out. And I know there's obviously energy here because this is not new information. We have known this for years. But knowing something and experiencing it are different things. This week, I experienced it. The only digital real estate you truly own is your email list and your own community on your own platform. Your email list does not have a moderator who can decide you're too expert to participate. It doesn't have an algorithm that decides how many of your subscribers see your newsletter. Nobody can ban you from your own website. I'm not saying don't be on Reddit. I'm not saying don't participate in communities on other platforms. I think you should. Carefully, generously, and with realistic expectations. There is a steep learning curve to platforms like Reddit specifically, and that learning curve is supposed to be worth navigating because the conversations happening there are supposed to be real. But every single one of those platforms should be a funnel towards something you own, not the destination, the on-ramp. If the only place your audience can find you is on a platform you don't control, then you don't actually have an audience. You have borrowed access to someone else's audience. Now, if you are someone who goes to forums, to Reddit, Facebook groups, online communities, looking for advice on perimenopause or any other significant health or life transition, I want you to hear this part too. The person moderating the space you're in may be actively filtering out the people with the most relevant expertise, not to protect you, but to control who you have access to. That doesn't mean everyone who answers your question is unqualified. There is enormous value in peer experience, in talking to other women who have been through what you're going through, who can say, "Me too, and here's what helped me." Peer support is powerful and necessary. But when you're asking a question that has a real evidence-based answer, when you're asking something that affects your health, your hormones, your mental clarity, your quality of life, you deserve to know whether the person responding has lived experience or professional experience or just a strong opinion. The moderator I messaged with this week confirmed that they are intentionally keeping credentialed experts out of their space. You deserve to know that's happening, and you deserve to make your own decision about whether to seek additional expert input outside of any single platform. Find the person with the credentials. Look at who they are before you take the advice. Take peer support for what it is, and know its limits. This week handed me a story I didn't expect to be telling, but the thing about building in public is that unplanned moments are often the ones that matter most, the ones that cut to the thing that we're actually trying to say. What I'm trying to build is a space where the conversation about midlife, the perimenopause, the transitions, the questioning everything you know, where these conversations can happen without a gatekeeper deciding what you're allowed to know. If that sounds like something you need, I'll leave a link to my website in the description. And if you're a creator who's been putting all your eggs in someone else's basket, come home. Build your list. Own your platform. I'm hopping off the soapbox for the day. Make sure you're following for my entire Building in Public video series. And if you have had similar experience, I'd love for you to share it in the comments. Someone watching could benefit from this conversation, and your voice matters.